Hello and welcome to All Talks with Cafe Mutual. Today we have here with us Dheeraj Agarwal, who is the MD of Ambit Investment Managers. Hello, sir. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Pleasure sparring like you.
Dheeraj, I want to start by asking you that when we see category 1 and 2, private equity and venture capital funds give us returns up to 18 to 20%. And the equity funds, on the other hand, are giving us more returns. So, why do you think an investor should, go for the unlisted space?
So the listed equity at this point of time is giving returns of 18 to 20%. But if you actually look at the long-term returns, it tends to mean revert back towards 13 to 15. So Nifty long-term returns now is actually more like 13, 13 and a half. But markets are never linear, right? Markets move in cycles. So it's almost like a sine curve that it will overshoot on the upside, then mean revert and undershoot. But the long-term return will eventually catch up. For example, if you look at the 2011 to 20 returns, it's below 10%, and now it looks like 17 or 18, but it averages out. And hence, from a portfolio diversification point of view, some allocation to unlisted space, it is higher risk, but it promises higher return, and over the longer term, it does play out.
Next up, I would like to ask you that equity PMS and category 3 AIF are similar to mutual funds. Then, why do you think the investors should look at these AIF and PMS to diversify their portfolio?
So there's one crucial difference between PMSs, AIFs, and the mutual funds on the other side. PMSs and AIFs generally tend to run more concentrated portfolios as compared to mutual funds, which are more diversified. Normally, over the long term, excessive diversification actually is negative for returns. It actually brings down your return. In the last 3 or 4 years, because of a very, very broad rally in mid and small, diversification is actually helping. So PMS and AIF does serve a purpose from that point of view for a more discerning investor who's willing to take slightly higher amount of risk for a concentrated portfolio. The returns can be higher. There is more personalization. There is more involvement of the final client in a PMS portfolio, also in AIF, which actually works, right? For most sophisticated investors, like to be little involved in what they own in the portfolio as compared to a investor for whom the portfolio is just a number and just an NAV. So it serves that to some extent that perception purpose as well.
Yeah. What are some of the popular category 3 AIF and PMS strategies?
So in PMS, there are two or three different kinds, right? I mean, one is the market cap wise split, so large, mid, and small, and second, lots of people have very very clear style focus in PMSs. So for example, at Ambit Asset Management, we have a very clear style bias, which is we buy high quality companies with a long term objective. But there are some of the other PMSs who are very happy to play cycles and high momentum, and they also do well. But it depends entirely upon what the investor's own risk profile is, what the investor's own risk adjusted return expectations are, and which style you choose. So in the AIF category, you have multiple alternate products as well now. So we have a long short fund, Ambit 365. Uh, that serves a very different purpose. It sits between fixed income and equities, trying to generate absolute positive returns irrespective of market conditions. AIF category 3 is also used for credit funds now, infrastructure funds or InvIT funds. So there are multiple other alternate asset classes which can be passed through AIF category 3.
Yeah. There are so many categories in PMS and AIF. How does a wealth manager shortlist them for their clients?
So I think the wealth industry has really come a long way in the last 10 or 20 years. So there was a time when most of the wealth managers would just put the mutual fund on an Excel sheet, sort them by performance, and say, buy the top 10 or buy the top 5, right? I mean, it's now the mutual fund industry has actually come a long way. It's really evolved. Yeah, they try to understand the style and the strategy of a manager. They try to see the risk versus return of that strategy and try to map it with what the client needs. So every client is different, right? For me, a product which makes 15% or 14% per annum but is reasonably safe over the next 10, 15 years might be fantastic. For you, you might be looking at making 30% per annum in the next 3 years because you think it's a raging bull market. and you may want to take some more risk. And the wealth managers are now doing a fair job of recommending what fits your requirement and recommending what fits my requirement from the suite of the products that is available in the market.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for those insights. That was all from today's session. Thank you.
Thanks.